They saw weakness the moment he stepped off the transport, a limp in his walk, a slight hesitation in his movements, his uniform, old, worn, patched too many times, and then there were the scars. Not the kind that made someone look dangerous, but the kind that made people uncomfortable, the kind that whispered. This one didn't come back whole. The docking bay of Outpost Helios 9 buzzed with life. Mercenaries, traders, soldiers from a dozen systems. But when the man walked through, conversations dipped just slightly. Eyes followed him, not with fear, with judgment. Another broken vet, someone muttered. War's been over for years. Another added. Why don't they just disappear? The man heard it all. He always did. But he didn't react. His name was Rian Korr. And once long ago he had been something far more than what they saw now. Rian moved through the station with quiet purpose, his boots echoing softly against the metallic floor. He ignored the stares, the whispers, the smirks. He had learned to, because explaining never changed anything. Not here, not anywhere. To them, he was just another human soldier who survived a war no one fully understood. A war against a civilization so advanced, so alien, that even now people spoke about it in hushed tones. The Varex Dominion, a name that still carried unease, a species that didn't conquer for territory, but for order. They believed in hierarchy above all else, and weakness was erased. Humanity had nearly been erased, but the war ended suddenly. No victory, no surrender, just silence, and the Varex vanished. Rian had been there when it happened, but no one ever asked him. Hey! The voice came sharp. Rian stopped. A group of security officers stood ahead blocking his path. Their armor gleamed. Their expressions didn't. You're not cleared for upper sectors, one of them said, eyeing Rian's outdated uniform. I'm not going to upper sectors, Rian replied calmly. Doesn't look like you belong here at all. A few nearby workers chuckled. Rian met the officer's gaze. For a moment, something flickered behind his eyes. Something cold, something precise, but it vanished just as quickly. I'll be on my way, he said. The officer smirked. Yeah, you do that. They stepped aside. Rian walked on. Behind him, the laughter returned. He reached a quiet corner of the station, a viewing platform overlooking the endless void of space. For a moment, he allowed himself to stop, to breathe. Out there, somewhere was a past he had buried, a truth no one here would believe. He closed his eyes, and for a second, he was back there. The battlefield had been chaos, ships burning, signals failing, entire fleets collapsing under the weight of Varex precision. They didn't fight like humans. They didn't rush. They didn't panic. They calculated. Every move was exact. Every loss, intentional. Rian had been part of a classified unit. One that didn't officially exist. Not soldiers, not officers. Something else, something the Varex understood, better than humanity ever did. Rian Korr. His eyes snapped open. The voice wasn't behind him. It wasn't in front of him. It was inside. Calm, clear, unfamiliar. Rian turned slowly. The platform was empty. Except it wasn't. At the far end, a figure stood, tall, perfectly still. Not human, the air seemed to bend around her presence. Armor unlike anything seen before, sleek, organic, shifting faintly with light. Eyes that glowed, not brightly, but with depth. Intelligence, authority. Rian's breath slowed. Varex, he said quietly. The figure stepped forward. You remember. Hard to forget. Silence stretched between them. Then, come with me. It wasn't a command, but it wasn't a request either. Before Rian could respond, the world shifted. When his vision returned, he was no longer on Helios 9. The station was gone. In its place stood a vast chamber, impossible in scale. The architecture curved in ways that defied logic. Walls that shimmered like liquid crystal. A ceiling that reflected stars that weren't there, and surrounding him, Varex, dozens of them, watching, studying, judging. Rian didn't move, didn't reach for a weapon because he knew there was no point. She appears weak. The voice echoed through the chamber, not spoken aloud but shared among them. Damaged, incomplete. Rian almost smiled. Even here, it was the same. Different species, same judgment. Then she entered and everything changed. The others lowered their heads. Just slightly, not submission. Power, the Alien Empress. She moved with absolute control. Every step deliberate. Every movement precise. Her presence alone silenced the room. Her gaze fell on Rian, and unlike the others, she didn't see weakness. You survived, she said. Rian tilted his head slightly. So did you. A faint shift in the room. Tension. But the Empress remained still. Do you know why you are here? I have a few guesses. None of them are correct. She stepped closer, close enough that Rian could see the detail in her eyes. Layers of perception far beyond human capability. You were observed, she said. Evaluated. Rian's expression didn't change. During the war. Now that got his attention. You were not just a soldier, she continued. You were something else. The chamber grew quiet. Rian said nothing, because this was the part humanity never understood. We categorize all beings, the Empress said. Rank defines purpose. Purpose defines value. Most humans were chaotic, unpredictable, inefficient. A pause. But you, she stopped in front of him. You were different. Memories surged. Not his own fears. Battle after battle. Moments he thought no one saw. No one survived. But they had. They had been watching, always watching. You adapted, the Empress said. You learned faster than our projections allowed. Rian's jaw tightened. You broke formation and created new ones. You disobeyed orders and achieved outcomes. You should have failed. A beat, but you didn't. The chamber shifted. Not physically, but in perception the watching Varex were no longer dismissive. They were recalculating. You are not weak, the Empress said. Her voice carried weight now, finality. You are misclassified. Rian exhaled slowly. And what exactly am I, according to you? The Empress met his gaze. For the first time, there was something almost human in her expression. Respect. You are a high-ranking warrior. Silence heavy, unavoidable, the words echoed, not just in the chamber, but in Rian's mind. All those years, all those looks, all those assumptions, and now, the very species that nearly destroyed humanity, saw him for what he truly was. Rank within the Varex is not given, the Empress continued. It is recognized. She raised her hand, the others followed. Not fully, but enough. A gesture of acknowledgement, of status, equality. You carry command presence, she said. Even without authority you lead, even when alone. Rian looked around for the first time. They weren't looking at his scars. They weren't seeing damage. They were seeing structure, capability, value. What happens now? He asked. The Empress studied him. That depends on you. Rian frowned slightly. On me? You can return, she said. To your people. They will continue to see weakness. Or a pause. You can stand where you truly belong. Rian didn't answer immediately. He thought about Helios 9, the whispers, the laughter, the empty recognition. Then he looked at the Varex, at the Empress, at a place where he wasn't misunderstood. I don't belong here, he said finally. A ripple passed through the chamber, but the Empress didn't react. Explain. Rian met her gaze. Because if I stay, nothing changes. A pause. They'll still see weakness. They'll still get it wrong. He took a step forward. But if I go back, his voice hardened. Maybe that changes. The Empress watched him closely, then she nodded. Then you carry our recognition with you. A faint shift in the air, something unseen but felt. A mark, not physical, but undeniable. You will not be alone, she said. Rian gave a small, almost amused exhale. I've been alone a long time, not anymore. The world shifted again. Rian stood back on Helios 9, same platform, same station, same people. Nothing had changed except him. As he walked through the docking bay, the whispers returned, the looks, the quiet laughter. Still broken. Someone muttered. Rian stopped, turned for the first time. He looked directly at them, not with anger, not with pain, but with something far more unsettling. Confidence, clarity, command. The laughter faded. Just slightly, but enough, because they still saw weakness. They still saw scars. They still saw a man who didn't fit, but somewhere beyond the stars. An alien empress had seen the truth, and now, so did he.